Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of Bank to the Future Live. We're trying something slightly different today. We're streaming from Zoom, and if this is all done correctly and everything goes to plan, you should actually be able to view this on our Facebook page, on our Twitter live stream, or on our usual Google Hangout format. So hopefully that's all working. If it's not, hopefully you'll just watch it as usual on the Google Hangout and everything should be working. So I've got Irvin on the line who's going to be moderating, and he's going to be going through the different platforms and seeing if there's any questions so that we can take your live questions and answer them as we go. Let's just jump straight in. I guess Irvin will interrupt me. I think he's checking the different mediums and seeing that we're all streaming okay at the same time as trying to moderate, and he'll let me know if anything goes wrong, but hopefully we are all good. So this episode of Bank to the Future Live, we did a different format. We mixed it up last week. We had an interview with Andrew, who is the the founder and ex-director of altcoin.io. And I'll go through some of the news there, but if you haven't seen the news already, we went through an acquisition deal and we were discussing that, so you can refer back to it on Bank to the Future Live episode 18. And that really relates to the topic that we're going to be covering today, which is about the Bank to the Future token, the future roadmap, and what we got planned. And then we'll go over to some of our portfolio news. We'll do a few screen shares if it's appropriate, pick out some of the news, and then we'll try and head over to your questions and answers. So before we get into the meat of it, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are on YouTube. And that means that every time we do go live, YouTube will send you a notification. And if you click that bell symbol, it will do it for you. If you're on Twitter, please do retweet. If you're on Facebook, please do like. And if you've got any questions, try and use any of those mediums, and hopefully everything's going to plan. And do share, and it helps us get everything started and expand the community. So it's been a roller coaster week, and we're going to start, I think, by just going into some of the pitches, some of the closed pitches, some of the new pitches. For those of you that are on your first episode of Bank to the Future Live, you'll notice that I give a lot of content on crypto, on the financial crisis, on banking, on economics. But this is purely for our Bank to the Future customers who are interested in investing in the future of finance, where we just dedicate the whole hour to going through every different topics around the Bank to the Future community, a planned securities token exchange, BnkToTheFuture.com, new deals, new investment opportunities, what's happened, the Bank to the Future token, our security token wallet, the BF wallet, the Bank to the Future wallet, and anything really. So you get to dictate and kind of help us shape the show by letting us know what you want and asking your questions. And we spend the first half just going through some content based around the theme of the show. So I'm just going to pull up my show notes now and try not to get too distracted with all the new format. The other thing to be aware of, if you want to discuss this, use the hashtag BFLive on Twitter, and also join us in Telegram. Our Bank to the Future community kind of converged around when we launched our token. So the symbol on Telegram is @BF_token. So in terms of what's been happening, our Bank to the Future, new pitches, what to expect next. We closed the Kraken deal. So Kraken was in a new record for us in terms of number of investors that invested. There's still a lot of bank transfers coming through. If you have sent us your proof of investment and it's still not marked as paid, then please do bear with us while we go through the few final 150 odd bank transfers that we're clearing before we close the deal. For those of you that invested in the deal also and wanted to understand a few things about how this works from here, you know whether your investment went through by going to the funds section of your account. And if your investment was marked as paid, then you know that it's all gone through and confirmed. We need a few weeks in order to work through all the legal work, clear all the bank transfers, sign the agreements, issue the share certificates. Then in a few weeks' time, you'll go to the portfolio section of your account and you'll be able to download your share certificate and see full details on the number of shares that you've owned at the price that was advertised, and all of that good stuff. Also, we had a lot of people that wrote in to us that wanted to get in the deal that didn't quite make it. For those people, we did just put on our BnkToTheFuture secondary market the ability for those that invested in an earlier round to actually place a sell order, and therefore you can deposit some USDT tether to your BnkToTheFuture.com account, and you can take some of those sell orders if you missed it by purchasing the SPV stock from another seller. Just in case you don't understand the jargon, SPV, the way that it works at BnkToTheFuture is you don't end up being a direct investor in the company, because having thousands of shareholders is extremely restrictive to the company and involves becoming a public company and various other things. What we do is we package everybody up into a special purpose vehicle, which is essentially a special company, and then you can place a buy and sell order for those if it makes it to our secondary market. And we're happy to say that Kraken has made it to our secondary market now. And anybody that missed the deal, if you're not from the US, unfortunately, the secondary market is not open to the US because we don't have a model that we believe to be compliant with SEC rules at this stage. But it is a work in progress and things that our team are working very hard at right now. So that's the Kraken deal. Also, if you invested in this deal in Kraken, remember you will have lock-in periods. Depending if you're from the US, you won't be able to place a sell order on the secondary market for at least 1 year. And if you're not from the US, depending on your country, it might be 3 months or something slightly different. But once you are able to place a sell order, it will be unlocked on your account automatically once those shares are issued, and it's from the date that the shares were actually issued that will count. So at the moment, we've got several deals that are open just to our priority access members. And as this is about the BnkToTheFuture token, one of the popular use cases, there's 2 really popular use cases at the moment, is that most of the people, the vast majority of people that trade on our secondary market or place a buy and sell order on our over-the-counter market where we match you up with buyers and sellers, they actually get a 50% discount if they pay their trading fees with the BnkToTheFuture tokens. So you can also play on the price, I guess. We've had a bit of a correction this week. So that means that it's cheaper for you to pay your BnkToTheFuture fees if you purchase tokens here and then pay your trading fees by depositing them. Go to the fund section of your BnkToTheFuture.com account, click on the BFT wallet, and you're able to actually deposit them there. And then you can pay your any fees when you buy and sell on the secondary market. And we've added 2 new deals to the secondary market. We're still in beta, as we said. Volume is fairly low because we're still rolling out more features around automated deposits and fiat deposits and more options so that we can increase the number of people that we can match up when we have those buy and sell orders. So Kraken is now closed on the primary market, but open on the secondary market for anyone that missed it, that's not from the US, that wants to purchase, but you won't be able to place a sell order, obviously, until your lock-in periods are over if you just made a purchase in the primary markets. We just emailed our priority access members. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Priority access members are people that hold a minimum of, our investors that hold a minimum of 10,000 BnkToTheFuture tokens on their BnkToTheFuture.com account or on their BF wallet, which is connected to their BnkToTheFuture.com account. Just so you understand the difference, when you deposit funds with BnkToTheFuture.com, it is done in a custodial way. If you are very comfortable with backing up your private keys and securing your private keys, then you can hold it in a non-custodial way by downloading the BnkToTheFuture wallet, the BF wallet, on iOS and Android, and then connecting it to your BnkToTheFuture.com account, which you have to have verified and certified. Then you can hold the 10,000 BnkToTheFuture tokens in a self-custodial way, as we're transitioning out into different self-custodial models as the world gets more and more comfortable with owning their own assets and securing their own assets. And so yes, if you have 10,000 BnkToTheFuture tokens, then you receive a 48-hour priority access to every deal that's listed on BnkToTheFuture. And we just released the priority access deal to CoinFirm. So CoinFirm is somebody that, if you haven't seen it, I released a video on my Twitter feed on the news about the Financial Actions Task Force. Essentially, all crypto exchanges are going to have to start to adjust to the standards of a bank it has to adhere to in terms of adding additional data when people are transacting, withdrawing, and depositing to their cryptocurrency exchanges. CoinFirm has been working for several years in order to automate that process, whereby exchanges can adjust to these new models. They also announced today that they have, and so they're essentially an anti-money laundering and provider, and they provide technology for exchanges to be able to adjust to that, as well as other traditional financial institutions looking to get into the crypto space but have to adhere to their regulatory requirements. And another thing that they do is supporting, for example, two topics that are relevant today. Not only was there the Financial Action Task Force announcement for exchanges, but there was also the fact that the hackers that are allegedly behind the Bitfinex hack were arrested. And CoinFirm provides the ability for when coins are stolen, if there's a large heist, then they provide the technology that would allow the exchanges to detect that sooner, so that the thief doesn't get away with those funds, or at least it's pointed out to the exchanges at a faster rate. So we just announced that with CoinFirm, and they also made an announcement today that they are supporting this type of technology, not just for Bitcoin, not just for Ethereum, but now also XRP. Which is the cryptocurrency. The largest holder is Ripple Labs, who is also a portfolio company on BnkToTheFuture.com. We've got several delays because we've got a few companies that are waiting to go live, but they would like to go live to US investors, and we're just doing a slight restructuring of our model, and therefore there's just a couple of weeks delay on the other upcoming deals that we've got going. Because a couple of them want to be open to US investors. One of those is Edge. We did the seed round when they were known as Airbits. They're a wallet and security firm, and they are, if you use, for example, something like the BF wallet, you'll notice that there's a bit of an unnatural process that people find hard to deal with, which is you have to jot down a mnemonic phrase, which is 24 phrases. Which essentially allows you to back up your private key in case your phone is lost. It's very important you keep those in a safe place, you jot them down, because that allows you to retrieve your funds if your phone breaks or you lose your phone, which is inevitable. At some point you're going to break your phone and lose your phone. So it's very important you keep those backups. And Edge has found a way to essentially allow those mnemonic phrases to be displayed in a very natural way behind a username and password, and still, in their mind, achieve similar security. So we're excited about what Edge can do, and their lead investor is someone that we're very excited about. It's the first time we've seen them invest in the industry, so we're very excited about bringing that to market in the next couple of weeks. For those priority access deal members as well, all of our initial allocations of secondary market deals are only available to BnkToTheFuture.com token holders. So you have to be a premium member, and the next deal that we'll be putting out to our premium members is the initial allocation of our secondary trade, BnkToTheFuture.com, before it goes onto the secondary market. In terms of the secondary market, if you head over to the trade page, you'll see a little beta symbol next to trade, but you'll notice we've now got 6 markets. We have more planned, but we're just releasing them one at a time. Well, we released 2 at a time today. So you'll notice that we just made available the BitPay SPV. BitPay was one of the very first companies they were there at the very first Bitcoin conference in the world when I spoke. We've put the BitPay SPV live on the secondary market for those that want to diversify their portfolio further into the largest companies in crypto. Again, remember, you're not actually buying shares in BitPay, you're buying shares in a special company, and for every share in that special company is backed by 1 share in BitPay, and they're matched 1-to-1. We also put the Kraken SPV live from those that wanted to sell their previous round shares. And you can place bid orders and be matched up in an OTC market with buyers and sellers. As well as the Circle SPV, the Bitfinex SPV has become our highest traded market. It's gone, it's had an astronomical price volatility. It's gone from at one point, I think, during the peak of the bad news about the challenges they had with crypto capital, I think it was down to approximately $1 to $2. It's now back up to $10. So congratulations for those that were speculating on that opportunity. But we've got the Bitfinex SPV live, which is by far and away the most frequently and liquid one on the market. And we've also got the Coinbase SPV and the Ripple Labs SPV, the Ripple Labs SPV being the second one that people are interested in, I think, because they are the largest holder of XRP. I think some estimate that the holdings that they hold, please don't take this, we don't actually know this, but allegedly they own up to 60% of XRP. Maybe they've sold more and it's a little bit less. And I think that's currently trading at about a $20 billion market cap at the moment. And the company is approximately around $4 billion, and they own that asset. So it's an interesting arbitrage play that you can see when these companies also hold large positions of cryptocurrencies and the markets continues to go. So that's the pitch news and pitch update. The content that I want to cover today, before we go into your questions, is I wanted to cover the main topic, which is what we're doing and what we're integrating with the BnkToTheFuture token and the roadmap of what we got coming up, which we're ultra excited about. On top of the things that we've currently got going, which is the popular ones of 50% discount on your secondary market trading fees, and also priority access to deals. The BnkToTheFuture token roadmap. Then we'll go to portfolio news. Then we'll go to questions. And so for the BnkToTheFuture roadmap, what I've done is I picked out some of the most frequently requested things that we get from our community of what they would like to see. And I'm going to give some commentary about what we're thinking about it, what we're going to be doing about it, and what to expect. So one of the most commonly asked suggestions or requests is what actually happens to the fees when people pay their 50% when they pay their 50% discounted trading fees on BnkToTheFuture with the BnkToTheFuture token. And one of the things that our community wanted to see was us burning those tokens. We think that's a very good suggestion, a very good idea. There's a few things that are on our mind when we're slightly hesitant or deciding how to actually go about that. So the first thing I do want to say is at the moment, we just leave them there. They just go, we don't do anything with them. We have no intention of spending them. We have no intention of doing anything with them at this stage, but they haven't actually been burned, and we are not burning them at this stage. And there's a few reasons for that. The first is, if you notice that, particularly in the US, there is definitions around what make a utility token like the BnkToTheFuture token be able, what makes it to be allowed to trade on a cryptocurrency exchange, or what it would make it trade on a security token exchange. And at the moment, there is no liquidity in the security token market. And BnkToTheFuture token was designed to be a utility token. It was designed to be a rewards token, a membership token, and for use as payment in the BnkToTheFuture ecosystem and anywhere else. It's an open source token, so anyone's free to develop it. Some of our portfolio companies like Coin Payments have made it available whereby their millions of merchants are able to use the BnkToTheFuture token to make purchases anywhere that supports coin payments. But we're not doing anything with them at the moment, but we haven't actually burned them. The reason for that is because there are a couple of models. For example, the Binance token, they do go through a process of buying back and burning. And I think the main reason that they're happy to do that is because they are a cryptocurrency exchange themselves, and therefore there's no real risk of them accidentally becoming a security and getting delisted from all the cryptocurrency exchanges. Similar to Bitfinex, they launched the Leo token as their recovery to the recent challenges. And they're able to do that because it's trading on their own cryptocurrency exchange, or other cryptocurrency exchanges that are willing to, go through listings that might look a bit similar to a security because people are investing in them because of the burn. So what's really important to us is to maintain our utility token, because we still want it to be used as a payment, membership, and rewards token. But at the same time, we don't want it to risk getting it delisted from lots of cryptocurrency exchanges because too many people are investing in it and treating it as a security. So those are our thinkings around that. However, there are some interesting developments that I'll go through today that might allow us to eventually do that and to support the community and allow those tokens to exit the ecosystem and support the economics of those that are looking to use those tokens. So I'll go through that right at the end. The other thing is, last week on the BnkToTheFuture live episode 18, we had Andrew on and we were talking all about the altcoin.io acquisition. And that has brought a myriad of talented blockchain developers that want to work on the BnkToTheFuture ecosystem, which opens up a lot more possibilities of what we can do with our token, because our team are really dedicated into working on the products in our existing ecosystem. But now we've managed to attract a lot more blockchain savvy developers to the organization, which means that we've already started planning some changes that we might want to make in terms of taking the BnkToTheFuture token and turning it into a multi-blockchain token. And so that we can then start looking at different ecosystems, things like we've got a great relationship with Blockstream, and we've been looking at the liquid, built upon Bitcoin. Maybe we can take some of the supply and put it on liquid. We've also had discussions with Binance Chain approached us. They'd like us to, take some of the token supply that we have and maybe convert that and launch it into the Binance ecosystem. So we've now got the resources and new talent to focus on some of these projects without distracting our original development team from the very aggressive roadmap that we still have, implementing many of the features that our community is constantly requesting. We still want to revamp the portfolio section of the account. We want to automate the fund section. We've got our fiat currency banking integration that we want to do on the main application. We also want to enhance our reward scheme, the integration with the BnkToTheFuture Identity. We've got a very aggressive roadmap, and everyone's stretched to the limit. And so, but now we've got more resources and more blockchain that can focus more on the blockchain part of what we do, which we're really excited to bring. The other thing that we are happy to state is that we're currently working on our regulatory model of how we're going to launch. We are going to call it still for now the altcoin.io exchange, because we haven't announced exactly what that's going to be and what we're going to do with that. But we're happy to announce that when we do launch that, we're currently working on our regulatory model. We're anticipating that that's going to be more of a 2020 product. But we're working on one of the first projects is looking at how we can use the BnkToTheFuture token as the base currency pair for two things. Firstly, we can have BnkToTheFuture token on the self-custodial exchange, whereby we can have a lot more currency pairs for people that want to trade in and out of BnkToTheFuture tokens with different cryptocurrencies. We can really increase that. And just like Binance can then, has more control over where a lot of the liquidity is by having their own token on their own exchange, just like Bitfinex, that then opens up possibilities for us, because we can make sure that we're trying to achieve good liquidity on an exchange that's actually owned within the ecosystem for the BnkToTheFuture token, and open up a lot more pairs in a self-custodial way. And remember, because the exchange was originally built as a decentralized exchange for self-custodial, we like the way that we can do with that, and we can get a lot more experimental, especially with some of the new blockchain development talent that's joining the team that we're really excited about. That also at that stage allows us to take many of those tokens that that are sat not really doing anything, and see an experiment with a fee burn model and see how we can enhance that, especially because we're going to be integrating that with our BnkToTheFuture identity solution. So for those of you that don't know, the BnkToTheFuture identity, and again, this will be another rewards-based use case for the BnkToTheFuture token, is over the years, we've been integrating with lots of different securities business in many different jurisdictions so that we can do things in compliance with global securities laws to the best of our ability. There's certain things that we need to do. For example, you need to go through what's called a know your customer process. Companies like CoinFirm support in that. You have to go through an anti-money laundering process in order to bring these opportunities. We have to do that in an automated, more seamless way, and so that we can keep out the bad actors, but also create an orderly, marketplace like we have at this stage. And then you also have to go through the certification and compliance with international securities laws. Now, we've invested a lot of time, resources, effort, money into building that ecosystem for BnkToTheFuture.com. What we realized is that we can now take a lot of those processes and build a separate application called the BnkToTheFuture Identity. We just launched the first iteration of that, which is where you can sign up on BnkToTheFuture.com as an organization. In the coming months, we'll also be releasing it for individuals. And we're looking at creating a reward scheme for those of you that use the BnkToTheFuture identity solution, so that you can take your identity, your certification, the processes you've been through us, registration with different broker dealers or securities businesses, and port those into different parts of the ecosystem, whether it's the BnkToTheFuture wallet, whether it's what's now the altcoin.io self-custodial securities token exchange, or other parts that want to integrate with the BnkToTheFuture identity ecosystem. We're ultra excited about bringing that to market. And we're going to be implementing a reward scheme for that, using the BnkToTheFuture token to incentivize people for, we try to make it as painless as possible, but who likes doing certification, verification, KYC? Nobody does, but it's something that has to do in order to bring this to market. But we want to make that more seamless and reward you for taking the time and effort out in order to do that, so that then you can interact with the securities token ecosystem, what we think will be the next big bull market in crypto, as we enter into the cryptocurrency bull market that it appears we are in right now. I know everything's red today, but hey, we had a really great run up, and this is exactly how it works. So it's exciting times again. So those are really the main things that we're thinking about. Again, this is about the BnkToTheFuture token is for utility as a rewards token, a membership token, and payments. And we're keen to make sure that we're thinking about the BnkToTheFuture token and all that we're doing. But people have to be patient. These things do take time. We've been around for a long time. We're not going anywhere. We've kind of stood the test of time so far. But we know that many of you are very keen to see these developments within our ecosystem. And these are the types of things that we're thinking about. We also want to do it very carefully. We've been here for a while because we're careful about things. We like to push the boundaries of innovation, but at the same time, we want to be here for the long term. We have, so far, that's worked as our approach. So I'm going to now do a quick screen share so that we can cover the portfolio news. And then after that, we can, let's see if I can make this work. So hopefully, if I do this, you can see my screen. And Irvin will let me know if it's not working, but hopefully it's all working. And hopefully you can see the secondary market. So I just want to go through a few things to show you. Check out this video. That's kind of the vision of what we wanted to create with the BnkToTheFuture secondary market. Remember, we are still in beta. We still have things that we want to do before we actually start promoting this more widely in line with who we're allowed to promote with securities laws. But here you can see the markets. We're going to try and shift the order a little bit. It's currently in order of when they were launched onto our market. We'd like to actually order it in terms of volume so that people can see the most liquid markets first. At the moment, you can see that we've added the BitPay SPV and the Kraken SPV. Here's the other ones that we mentioned. Just by way of review, you go over here. Hopefully this account is still logged in. And you can place a buy and sell order here. You can see what people are looking to pay for the SPV shares in Bitfinex and what people are looking to sell at. You can go straight there and you can take one of these sell orders and you can purchase the shares as long as you've got some tether in the fund section of your account. Later, we'll be doing fiat deposits once we come out of beta. And you can check out the history of the price, the volume, and the history of trades that have executed. Remember, we're just putting you together and automating the process of you being matched up with different buyers and sellers in the market. So that's what we've got. If you head over in the footer, I don't think we do a good job of, it's kind of hidden in our website. We'd like to change that. But at the moment, if you go to the footer and go to the blog section, we're releasing pretty much content every day or every couple of days now. But you can see the announcement here on the altcoin.io acquisition. Whenever we go do a BF Live or any videos that are happening, we add them there. What else have we got just before we go through some of the companies? And also, here's where you can watch the video, BF Live, BnkToTheFuture Live, episode 18, where you can see that. It looks like you can still, hopefully you can see the screen right now. Yep, okay. Irvin will let me know if you can't see the screen. So that's where you can see that. Also, here's what I was talking about earlier. This is CoinFirm that is currently open just to our priority access members right now. Sorry about all the ads. I guess I need to start using Brave browser or something like that. This is my normal Chrome browser. This is where CoinFirm has recently come out. They'll be appearing to those of you that are not priority access members. If there's any allocation left, then it will be coming out 48 hours after we notify, and we notified today. But CoinFirm announced that the Ripple deal, where they're allowing XRP to become compliant with the Financial Action Task Force. I understand that probably many of you might have a mixed emotion towards these regulations, but they are a part of life, and these things are coming, and CoinFirm is supporting people, supporting some of these companies to get that. Next piece of news, we had, there was a Yes, there was I think XRP had a big increase, and remember that increases the value of Ripple Labs as the largest holder of XRP and the technology, not just the token. But they did a deal with MoneyGram where they invested between 30 and 50 million into the company, which looks like a signal that they're going to be working together on different things as Ripple Labs tries to take their technology to have some kind of impact and disruption in the SWIFT network. For the most painful thing, my pet hate is international bank transfers. It's such a horrible, clunky, disgusting system that always goes wrong, and ripe for some kind of innovation in that space. One of the reasons why I prefer to use cryptocurrencies, but at the same time, Ripple is looking to build technologies to banks that support and make that international payment system a little bit easier, is their goal. What other news do I have for you? Securitize, they're involved in one of our portfolio companies. They're involved in the security token ecosystem. We've done an integration with Securitize into the BnkToTheFuture wallet, and we use that in order to deliver one of our first security tokens to our investors using the Securitize protocol. They've been building relationships in Japan, and they made some partnerships and announcements. In Japan, it's really getting excited now. They're starting to give licenses to more exchanges. We're seeing that in the Philippines as well, where more exchanges are starting to get more and more licenses. And they're really starting to take leads in these different interesting edge markets that we find in cryptocurrencies. Here was the news that relates to Bitfinex. Well, the alleged hackers were arrested in Israel, and we are not sure what that means yet, but it means that if they can retrieve the private keys, excuse me, let me just take a quick water break because my keep my breath, my voice fresh. Okay, we're back. Yeah, so that means that there were certain tokens that were issued by Bitfinex, for example, the Leo token and the recovery rights token, that might have impacts and implications if those private keys can be recovered. And so, you know, it's good to see developments in that space. Another portfolio news, here's our the CoinDesk covered the fact that Kraken attracted over 2,000 investors on BnkToTheFuture. I hate the word crowdfunding. We don't really consider ourselves crowdfunding. That's the word that they like to use. We're more of a syndicate of professional investors that want to invest in the future of finance. And that is all the news that I have got for you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, hopefully, if I can figure this one out. And hopefully you will be seeing me and my face. Yes. And I think this is a good time. How are we doing for time? Let me check. So we've got 20 minutes to take as many questions as we can take from these different mediums. Please, if you're enjoying this video, please do like and share. Remember to subscribe if you're on YouTube, to retweet if you're watching this on Twitter, to like it if you're watching on Facebook. Irvin, hopefully you can unmute yourself and you've got some questions for us so that we can finish off the last 20 minutes on any questions that we got that come from this.
Sure. Okay, so the first question we have is from H3. He's asking if I have over 10K BFT on my account, but under 10K BFT is available due to something being locked in some sell or buy orders. Am I still a premium member, as I did not get the most recent priority access email?
That's a really good question, and I got to put my hands up. I don't know the answer to that. Irvin, what I'd appreciate, H3 is a really valued member of our community. He's always around, so we know exactly who you are, H3. Could you check with the dev team, Irvin, and see if we can get an answer to H3, because I don't actually know the answer. Great question.
Sure, no problem. Maybe we'll just send out a direct message to H3 on Telegram or maybe on his email. Yeah, so for the second question, would the 100-year lockup on BFT instead of a burn would work to keep it out of the security definition?
Could you say the beginning bit, Irvin? I just missed the beginning bit.
Would a 100-year lockup? So the guy is asking if
we lock the tokens up for 100 years, would it take it out of the security definition? I don't know. That would be something we'd have to check with council, and I'm not sure even council would know the answer. This completely new territory. These things are not well defined yet, but it's about the essence of the token, which is that we want to use it as a payments, membership, and rewards token. We'll do what we can do, but I think we want to look at those at the most appropriate time, which is when we're in the strongest position to be able to adjust to whatever. So if it's on our self-custodial exchange and it's also integrated with the BnkToTheFuture identity solution, then depending on how these different rules and regulations go, we can pivot accordingly in order to remain compliant and to keep that there. But at the moment, we're very committed to keeping it as a utility token on cryptocurrency exchanges so that people can get the full benefits of what we built.
Okay, so next question is, can we have BFT on BnkToTheFuture's portfolio exchanges like Kraken and Bitfinex?
It's completely up to the exchanges whether they want to list that. The world is going through big changes right now, and these exchanges are making their definitions of what they're going to be doing. One thing I do know is I think that at some point a lot of these exchanges are going to have to adjust to security tokens and the security token ecosystem. The BnkToTheFuture identity would be a great solution for that. And also because it gives rewards in the utility token, it's really a question. But yeah, we would love to see this as many places as possible support the and trade the BnkToTheFuture token. But I do know that every exchange is going through a real regulatory challenge right now and defining their processes. So I think people are being a lot less, there. So yeah, that's the situation right now. As soon as the clarity comes out, which it is coming out, I think that we can see a lot more there.
All right. Next one is, does the roadmap include using BFT to invest on the BF platform?
We are happy to do that once, only if we can see sufficient liquidity pick up. The reason I say that is because what we don't want to do is allow people to invest their BnkToTheFuture tokens in the companies, and then the companies have this huge sell order because they end up selling the BnkToTheFuture tokens for something in a more liquid market. So the only reason that we're not doing that at this stage is because the liquidity is not sufficient enough in order to facilitate that in a real seamless way. And we don't want big dumpers on the market because we're allowing people to invest their tokens. We got direct experience from when we were very early on in BnkToTheFuture. We had some token integrations and we saw some of the negative effects that can have so we're focusing on increasing utility so that more and more people want to use it. And I don't think that at this stage that using it in order to invest in companies when there may not be any perk to doing that may lead to some derogatory effects that we don't really want to see upon the ecosystem.
All right. So next one, how does BFID work and when can we start using it?
I think you're muted, Irvin.
The next question was, how does BFID work, and when can we start using it?
BFID I'm really excited about. So at the moment, the only way to use it is if you want to sign up for an organizational account on BnkToTheFuture.com. When you register, it will immediately take you over to the BnkToTheFuture Identity solution, BFID, and you can you can certify your company, you can verify your company, and you can go through a process of opening up an organizational account. We're working on a final few tests and integrations in order to launch that for individual accounts on BnkToTheFuture.com. So once that is released, you'll be able to test that out, and you'll be able to re-verify, recertify, and register with different broker-dealers depending on your jurisdiction, so that we can, and we'll look to do rewards for that. Then we'll look at expanding that out into integrations with our new blockchain development team in the self-custodial exchange, into the cryptocurrency exchange that will create, that's designed for BnkToTheFuture tokens as trading pairs in beta, and other parts of the ecosystem like the BnkToTheFuture wallet. So at the moment, that's the roadmap. And I think we'll be rolling most of that out this year. And then we see the securities token exchange as a 2020 product.
Great. Here's a question regarding security token exchange. So what does getting whitelisted mean for using security tokens? How will it work for a decentralized exchange?
So essentially, the way that you can do it in a self-custodial exchange is you can use whitelisting in order to comply with different securities laws and allow people to own their own assets. And the way that it works is that you have a whitelisting process whereby if you can provide, for example, through the BnkToTheFuture identity, the verification, the certification, and the compliance with securities laws, then that can be used in order to whitelist, for example, an Ethereum address or a liquid address as it's developed, or any other type of address that's involved into the security token ecosystem. And what that means is that more and more people do that, is you can trade in a peer-to-peer fashion with anyone else that is whitelisted. And this is what will allow you eventually to hold your assets on your own wallet, connect it to a self-custodial peer-to-peer exchange, and still do that in compliance with laws, so that you can eventually move over to holding your own assets, but still doing it. It's not like Bitcoin, which is a bearer asset. This is when there's the securities, there are certain compliance involved, and whitelisting is the process for achieving that in the security token ecosystem.
Okay, next question. What do you think security tokens' biggest market is? Is it the conventional investors investing in stocks, or the crypto investors?
This is a really good question. So one of the problems with the security token ecosystem right now is that no one really knows who the customer is going to be. It will change over time, just like I remember when the cryptocurrency market started and no one really knew who would be using that. And the same with ICOs, and it was a very small market, and it took at least 3 to 4 years until you saw deep liquidity and people understanding how ICOs actually worked. Then you obviously had the regulatory crackdown. I think STOs is going to go through a similar thing. Here's my forecast. I don't think that people that no one that owns Bitcoin and is going to want to invest in the real estate investment trust as a token that pays a 4% yield. They're into the ultra high returns that can be achieved if you get it right, if you time it right with cryptocurrencies, and supporting the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and those are the types of things that the crypto market are interested in. At the same time, the traditional investor is not interested in self-custodial and having to own their own assets. So what it really comes down to is I think the market that we're looking at initially tackling, which is taking equity in crypto companies that still have the potential for a high risk, high return, and allowing people to use it in a self-custodial way. And for example, on the centralized platform like BnkToTheFuture.com, you can trade those with denominated in US dollars. But then on the self-custodial exchange, you can have them where you could trade them against cryptocurrencies. And I think this is where the market's going to be, and this is the market that we're looking to tackle. But what we're doing is we're doing it in a centralized way, giving the option of a decentralized self-custodial way, so that rather than us inflicting a way upon our customers and investors, they can choose. Now, it seems like a simple thing to do. It's an incredibly challenging thing to achieve, but we're excited about doing it. We think we've got the team to do that.
All right. So next question. What's the estimated date launch for the security token exchange?
Again, we think it's a 2020 product. I could come here and say Q3. I have always thought that things can get done faster than they can get done. But I think we're in a very strong position. We've got a lot that other people don't have. We've got a good idea of what we want our regulatory model to be, and we've already made progress towards that. We've got the technology, we've got the team, and we've also got the products and the investors. So I'm going to be conservative and say, Q1, Q2, 2020. But I'd love to be able to get that done sooner. But there's a lot to do, there's a lot to integrate, and there's a lot to build.
All right, so I think we have one last question. So, what benefits will
Awesome.
BnkToTheFuture members be entitled to?
Sorry, I didn't catch that one. Could you say that again?
Sure. What benefits will BnkToTheFuture premium members will be entitled to?
So I think I've been through them all, but just to recap, you get priority access to deals. You get 50% discount on your trading fees. You get the ability to qualify for any of our rewards schemes. And then we can start thinking about the different things that we'd like to do on the security token exchange in terms of what premium members and offerings we can do that. And I think this would be a great place for the community to share with us what your ideas are. If you can share with us in Telegram, Twitter, Facebook, in the YouTube comments, let us know what you'd like to see, and we'll certainly add that to one of our boards so that we can start to think about what we would like to do with it as this ecosystem grows. So I think that's a great place to close. A great final question. Hope that gave you some more information about what we're up to. Congratulations. I know it's a red day today, but congratulations on some of the huge gains that we've seen in the cryptocurrency industry. It's a wild ride, but that's going to do it for episode 19 of Bank to the Future Live. Please share, like, subscribe, retweet, do whatever you need to do. And thank you for supporting the ecosystem.